Chain Drug Review and Mass Market Retailers Video Forum. Brought to you by the Emerson Group.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Wolt, Editor-in-Chief of Chain Drug Review and Mass Market Retailers. Welcome to our video forum. Today, we're delighted to welcome Mark Baum, Senior Vice President of Industry Relations and Chief Collaboration Officer at FMI, the Food Industry Association. Mark, great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Really appreciate being here and looking forward to our conversation.
I am as well. You played a key role in the development of FMI's total store strategy, total store collaboration. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that idea and how you guys are implementing it.
I'd be delighted. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yes, indeed. I was one of the architects of our total store collaboration concept and strategy. And as you know, FMI has a long history of leadership in what I call traditional center store categories, food and beverage for a long time. And then as our members, retailers, we're doubling down on, we'll call it the perimeter and fresh. We really invested a lot in creating a community there and making it a destination. But the idea was always to go wall to wall across all product categories in the store. And of course, general merchandise, household, and health and beauty care have always played a role in both traditional grocery and in non-traditional food retailing as well. And FMI had always done some work in the space, but had not committed the way that we had just a couple of years ago. We really, as we were looking at the evolution of the business and the dynamics in the marketplace, knew that these categories could play a destination role in grocery and non-traditional food retailing. And rather than just kind of integrating it into the other components of our business, we really wanted to invest in it, both as a standalone and as part of the larger picture. So about 18 months ago, we actually organized and activated a non-foods community comprised of general merchandise, household, and health and beauty aid experts, both from retail and from the product supplier side. We enlisted the help of some of our advisory partners and solution partners as well. And we launched, and we've been at it for about 18 months now and enjoying great success. And we have really high hopes and aspirations and dreams to grow it even larger.
What benefits do your members, both retailers and suppliers, gain, and what benefits do customers gain by your new focus on GM household products and HBA?
Well, first of all, we are doing this exclusively for the benefit of our members, both on the retail wholesale side and the product supplier side as well. I think for our product suppliers, that marketplace is not quite as mature as some of the large cap food and beverage companies. There are some larger players in it, but it's going to provide them much more access to their trading partners and to really focus on the issues that matter to help them grow their book of business together, a larger book of business, a more profitable book of business, and for the benefit of their mutual customers, the consumers. From a retail standpoint, I think there's a couple of things that are going to happen or already have happened, but we're really starting to get the flywheel turning. One is they're getting the benefit of some great thought leadership. What are the emerging trends? What are consumers thinking about and doing in response to their own needs? And how can retailers working with their product suppliers capitalize on that? As an example, we're now in a post-COVID world. COVID changed the way that consumers think about their own overall health and well-being, how they think about the health of their households and the like. And these product categories play a major role in the way consumers think and the way they shop and what they stock within their households going forward. We have a great opportunity to be top of mind when consumers are thinking about fulfilling those needs. And also when we think about just the overall trend towards healthcare and self-care, these categories play a major role in those needs as well. And so we're focusing on really trying to better understand those needs, using state-of-the-art technology to optimize the right assortment to provide the right mix of services and products to meet consumers where they want to be met and how they want to be met. The only other thing I'd add to that, Jeff, is also as we move into what we'll call an omni-channel world, a lot of these products are really, really in the bullseye for home delivery, subscription services, and the like. And I think are going to lead the way when it comes to e-commerce for food retailers going forward.
Mark, as you know well, there's a lot of competition in these non-foods categories. How would you assess supermarkets' position today, and what sort of runway for growth do you see?
So, these categories play a role in a number of channels. So, to your point, it's highly competitive. And interestingly enough, Jeff, historically, I think the traditional grocers played a larger role than they have in recent years. So, if you go back to that one-stop shopping concept that was very popular back in the day, GM Household and HBC played a major role. And then we saw the advent of sort of the category killers or other channels that were grabbing a larger share of that as consumers demonstrated a willingness to cherry pick more formats more frequently. However, it's always been a part of the mix in traditional grocery. And as consumers are looking for more convenience, and we know that they are through a lot of the research that we're doing in grocery trends, there's an opportunity to reclaim some of that real estate. And frankly, from a grocery standpoint, these categories are really attractive. The margins tend to be a bit higher, and they stitch into the broader overall go-to-market strategy of a lot of these retailers as well. And part of our initiative is to help our members claim a greater share of these categories with consumers going forward as well.
Mm-hmm. You said that at one point supermarkets perhaps commanded a bigger share than they do today. Did the membership perhaps take its eye off the ball a little bit?
No, I think obviously the marketplace dynamics and the competitive forces always play a role. And by the way, that's true across all categories. Mm-hmm. Even if you think about food categories today, when people ask me who's in food retailing, I kind of rhetorically respond, who's not? I mean, mm-hmm. Everybody's in it to one degree or another. So there's just much more competition at a local level than there's ever been before. But I also think that it had to do with the priorities that retailers were strategizing about back in the day. So I mentioned earlier the perimeter and fresh. As consumers started migrating more towards those fresh categories, retailers really doubled down on their efforts there and invested a lot there, maybe vis-a-vis certain other categories that were just there as a matter of convenience more than really as a destination category or part of the overall, say, health and well-being strategy. Now I think retailers are rethinking all of that and investing more in these categories.
What steps do food industry participants need to take in order to achieve this vision that you've been talking about on the non-food side?
Well, first of all, they should be hopefully a part of the FMI family of members and companies and participating in a lot of the events that we've been creating over the last couple of years. We've partnered with any number of our members and associate members to create some platforms for coming together as trading partners to do things like really tapping into the consumer trends that I talked about earlier, strategizing together as they come together to better understand consumer needs and meet those needs, participating in the development of thought leadership. We did a Power of Non-Foods report last year. We continue to build on that. We're doing specific focuses on specific categories within general merchandise, household, seasonal, health and beauty care as well. It really keeps you on the leading edge of what not just the trends are, but how you can capitalize on them and not only just make bets on those individual categories, but stitch those categories into your broader go-to-market strategy.
You mentioned events. I know in May you have one coming up at your headquarters in Arlington. Can you tell us a little bit about what will occur there?
Yeah, sure. And this is a build on some work we started doing last summer. We hosted an event at FMI's offices last summer. Very well received. Lots of great ideas to unlock value between trading partners. We're doing another one this May in our offices. It's called Beyond the Aisles, Unlocking Non-Foods Potential. And this is really a carefully curated event, almost by invitation only, very immersive, to really get together and identify and prioritize the most important issues and ways in which trading partners can come together and develop strategies and then execute those strategies at the local level to meet consumer needs.
If someone listening to this thinks they might be able to contribute to that discussion, how would they go about seeking an invitation?
So, well, first of all, you can always go to our website, so www.fmi.org, and tap into our search bar around non-foods, and that is up there. They can certainly reach out to our office. Tom Duffy, as many of your readers and listeners know, is with us, and Tom has taken the sharp end on developing that community, and he can be reached at tduffy@fmi.org. We'd be delighted to welcome anybody who has an interest or thinks that they can contribute to the event to be a participant. Of course, if you're already an FMI member by now, hopefully you are very well aware of the event. But if you're not and you're watching today, please let us know. We'd be delighted to get you involved. And Jeff, I might add one other thing. We are going to host another non-foods conference in September. So if you come to the May event, which is really kind of consumer centric and focused on trends and being able to capitalize on those consumer trends, the September event is really going to focus on B2B issues. So how do we get together as trading partners, create better business plans, execute them better in the marketplace, discuss, kind of what's keeping us up at night, and how we grow that business together.
You mentioned FMI has a number of communities, and some of them are more mature than the non-foods. Where are you on the journey with the non-foods community in terms of building it out and getting the level of participation you'd like to see and the results that you'd like to see?
Yeah, these things they take a little bit of time in the sense that we just really launched our Fresh program at FMI, say, I don't know, let's call it 8 years ago now. And when we first launched that program, I think we had 20 companies in the room, and we did most of the talking. Now you fast forward 8 years later, and FMI has become a destination for fresh players across the country, both in the trade and the supplier community, as well as the third-party providers who see them as their customers. I would tell you that we're off to an even better start with non-foods. In the last less than 2 years, we already have 30 some odd council members. So we do actually have a council that meets on a regular basis to discuss issues, identify opportunities, and otherwise just lean into the broader picture at FMI and avail themselves of our resources. Over the last 18 months, I think we've hosted at least 3 or 4 live events. We've done a couple of virtual events. We partnered with one of our agency members last year. We had about 800 viewers to that 3-day event. We did another one this year. More to come on that. So I think, Jeff, we've got the flywheel turning. We are very quickly getting to critical mass. And I think not only are we really well positioned within the overall FMI sort of like ecosystem to do this, but word of mouth is helping also. I mean, I think if you talk to our members who are getting involved in this community, they're seeing great value and they're starting to proselytize a little bit and tell their friends about it. So I could see us in the next several years really becoming the primary destination for anybody, both on the supplier side of GM, Household, and HBC, and certainly building out that capability within our retail side where it's resided for some time.
Mm-hmm. And as you talk about these capabilities in non-foods and the availability of products perhaps that weren't there previously, how important will that be in your drive toward personalization?
Well, when you said personalization, you kind of rang the bell for me because, I mean, if I think about where the industry is going, we want to get to a market of one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you are an industry, and I'm going to be a little cheeky, but when you've come of age in the industrial revolution based on a mass production based platform, it's really hard to get down to a market of one. However, what I like to advise our members is to think like a 19th century local merchant and have that philosophy, but armed with 21st century tools.
Mm-hmm.
And now through the tools that we've been developing, our consumer analytics capabilities, really being able to understand what that total basket looks like, what consumers are looking for specifically within those GM household and HBC categories, particularly the application of some of these emerging technologies. I know the bright, shiny new toy now is Gen AI. We've actually been applying artificial intelligence and machine learning to our businesses for several years now, but really being able to understand both how these categories fit into the broader consumer set of needs, and specifically within those needs is going to get us to a level of personalization that we've not seen before. And the only thing I would just add as a caveat to that, Jeff, is because we're getting better at it every day, is to really do that in a responsible way. I think we've learned through the application of social media and these other platforms, we can get to a degree of of personalization in a way that we hadn't been able to before, but you have to customize without being creepy. So we've got to really respect our consumers' privacy, use these tools in a responsible way, but really get them to understand that we are going to meet them with what they need, when they need it, and where they want to get it. So we're very, very bullish on our ability to customize and personalize going forward.
You said you've done a lot of consumer research. Are shoppers open to buying more of these products in the supermarket channel?
I don't think. I know that they are. And now we need to capitalize on that and really make the supermarket more of a destination for consumers who want to pick up those products, both in a convenient format. And, it's kind of interesting. So you mentioned, a lot of them go to drugstores. And they do, but what we find is, and I like to say this, what drug calls front end, what we call rest of store, is really important, and building out that footprint. So to the extent that consumers are looking for more convenience, both in their food and non-food items, supermarket operators and grocers can play a major role in that. And it's not just convenience, it's really a matter of looking holistically at the entire basket and meeting their needs, both just in terms of making better decisions for themselves and their families, their overall health and well-being. And these products play a major role in that, more of a role than maybe they did even just a few years ago. So I think we're very well positioned to take advantage of the fact that consumers are more than willing to come to grocery stores for those items.
In light of what we've been talking about, do you see perhaps more space, more square feet being given to non-foods categories than has been the case up until now?
I think we're already seeing it. It's really kind of interesting, and this may sound counterintuitive, but it really seems to be working. As we are really investing more in health and well-being, more and more retailers are employing the services of cross-functional teams to provide products and services. And a lot of those are being led by retail dietitians. And those registered dietitians look very holistically at health and well-being, and they recognize the role that these categories play beyond food in providing for the overall health and well-being of these households. And they're looking at utilizing both every asset across the store. So there's more space, I think, for not just those items in their primary sets, but in secondary sets and tertiary sets, looking at cross-merchandising opportunities with food and non-food products. There's more of that going on today than ever before. And if you think about that in the context of the overall assortment that grocers provide, it really, I think, creates more and more opportunities, not just for retailers to devote more real estate from a primary standpoint to those categories, but to stitch them into those other categories as well.
And are your members acting on that insight?
They are, to one degree or another. I think some are further along that journey than others, but we've built out some maturity models. So think about it this way, Jeff. Think about the consumer healthcare economy just growing by leaps and bounds. I call it like a $2 trillion jump ball, right? So what is it that you believe your fair share is going to be? And as our retailers look at themselves, we devise a way of identifying their current state. Where are you today? Do you own and operate pharmacies? Do you not? And by the way, this opportunity is available to anybody, whether you're in that business or you aren't. But how do you look at all of your assets, both product categories as well as people and services, and create that strategy? So if the left-hand side of the screen, the axis is current state, sort of business as usual, And the right-hand side is sort of full-blown healthcare provider that also happens to be in the grocery business. Where do you see yourself? And what are the steps you need to take to get there? So it's really taking an inventory of your assets, understanding how you position them, and then going back to an earlier question you asked, communicating with your customers in a way that you're really personalizing those offers to them. If I know kind of what your habits are, then I can tailor programs to better meet your household needs. Some of it might be diagnostic testing. Some of it may be healthcare programs for better health outcomes. There can be a combination of food and non-food programs that really contribute to the overall health and well-being of customers. And you're seeing that in a lot of traditional grocers who are doubling down and making big bets on healthcare and self-care as an extension of the grocery experience going forward.
Mm-hmm. And would you hazard a guess as to how much share will come to the supermarket channel in non-food?
Let's put it to you this way. One of our members said to me, one of our board members, and I've been using his line. None of us should be in the business of making too many predictions because all of our crystal balls are cracked. So I, I don't want to go too far out on a limb and say it's going to be X share. But if you think about where it is today, let's just call it an 8 to 10% share.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can double that in the next 5 to 7 years. Okay. And, if you think about what that's worth, as you know, given the volume of this business, it's worth a lot.
Well, we will be reporting on your journey, and I think your membership is lucky to have you guys in the lead on this. So thank you so much for your time, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jeff.